I, applaud them for their ability to actually do what they have done. But it has just gotten a little bit out of hand at this point in time with the numbers, So if they can keep the numbers where they are supposed to on the outside until they get the rest of this built, then I'm sure people won't have a problem. But until they get that built and where they have people on the inside, and then there's a thing of trust at this point in time. The attitudes that come from them, it's not one of trustworthiness.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you sticking within the time frame. Lady in red.
Oh, thank you. Hi, I'm Nicole Shea. I'm a 9-year resident of Shaw. I'm here
May I have your address, please?
Oh, sure. I'm at 1605 5th Street, and I'm here to talk in support of Dasha. I have seen it become a community, a clubhouse in ways that welcomes everybody from the community and from around. It has grown. The fact that Dasha became such a successful business and such a popular destination speaks to the fact that we need more establishments like Dasha in the area. I have been impressed with what Dasha has done to address concerns from neighbors in terms of going above and beyond with noise studies, with some of the construction that they've done with fencing and things like that. I agree that there has been an adversarial relationship between Dasha and some people in the neighborhood, and I think that's really unfortunate, and I frankly don't think it's all on the side of Dasha. I would love to see a reset with neighbors, but I think there are some people who have dug their heels in so deeply and they're so entrenched in their views that they're not being reasonable and not necessarily being neighborly. And also, Dasha is one of many establishments that has come to the community in the last few years. It's the most sort of public and open one, and I think sometimes it gets scapegoated and takes blame for things that are happening in a lot of other bars and establishments in the neighborhood. People do bar crawls up and down 7th Street, and Dasha's kind of in the middle of that. So it's not really fair to assume that any loud, any drunk person, any loud thing that you're hearing, or anyone peeing in an alley is coming from Dasha. I think that's kind of an easy excuse to make. And from what I've seen with what they've been doing to address needs and be a vital part of the community, I ask that people be a little bit more considerate to how much they have been working to be part of the community.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Next.
Hi, my name is Steve McMaster, and I live at 1613 Marion Street. That's towards the Q Street end of Marion. I bought my house in 1991. I've lived in Shaw since the 80s. This block of 7th Street, I avoided like the plague for all those years. I would not walk down that street because it wasn't safe. I went straight to Rhode Island and avoided it. I've been a victim of crime in the city. I've been kidnapped by gunpoint at empty parking lots, taken away, cross state lines, federal offense, the whole 9 yards. What Dasha did was open up a community and welcome folk. It is now an area I like to live. It's an area I'm surprised at, and it's because of Dasha. Now, an increase in their occupancy would seem to be essential. First of all, there's a need. Clearly, public is supporting it. And in the winter, when Dasha wasn't open, it went back to being a deserted corridor that you wondered about crossing. And as far as urinating in the alleys, I assure you, straight back to my first days in Shaw, urination happened in every alley I've seen. I've seen overdoses and near deaths behind my house in the alley between 6th and Marion Street. With the activity that Dasha has brought into the community, it feels safe. Without it, it doesn't feel safe.
Thank you, sir, for your comments.
Hi, my name's Tom Foy. I live at
FOY?
FOYE, and I live at 801 Q Street, so I'm exactly 1 block from Dasha. I moved here in 2012, probably about 6 months before Dasha opened, so I remember what the neighborhood was like before they were here. Often walking my dog at between 10 and midnight around that very block. I think to echo some of the earlier sentiments, it at that time didn't feel like a safe place. It does now. You know, as a member of this community, I've seen this neighborhood grow and change, and it's vibrant now. It's something I'm excited to be a part of, and I'm excited to have Dasha as a neighbor. I've generally found them to be a good neighbor, and I think more so than any other establishment in the neighborhood, I think they've done a good job of fostering a sense of community, and I think that's something that we should all strive to see more of throughout the neighborhood. So as a result of that, I'm in support of this application.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Katya Semyonova, 1613 8th Street. So I'm in direct line of sight, just a little bit further from Brian Peters, from where Dacha is. And I agree with many of the speakers that Shaw is a vibrant neighborhood. To attribute that vibrancy only to Dacha, I think, is a mistake. We have so many businesses here. We have so many people living here. They're up and down the streets. There are people who've lived here forever and people who've lived here for short periods of time. And we have to make this community one that is welcoming to all the residents, and one that is also embraces that Q Street, 8th Street, these are residential streets. There are residential streets that on one side don't have any parking for 8th Street, and for Q Street have no parking for much of those blocks. To have 600 people on a tiny lot, to me, just is preposterous. During their World Cup, I would sit in my yard and not be able to hear anyone I was talking to. Inside of my house, it was like people were screaming football fans. On a sunny day, the noise is intolerable. The parking, you can see, if we're talking about 4 parking spaces being lost on Ridge Street, the amount of parking that would be lost when you're talking about 600 patrons being on a tiny block, it is just out of proportion with that. Also, we were talking about a let-out that would include 600 people coming out into the street at 2 o'clock in the morning into a residential area where people try to sleep, where there are kids. And so I
10
think
more seconds.
I support Dacha at 126. I think it'd be a great establishment at 126.
Thank you so very much.
Hello, my name is David Sickle. I live at 401 Massachusetts Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20001. I've lived here since 1994. I've known Ilya and Dmitry for the better part of those years, since around the late 90s. And I know that they are contributing to the vibrancy of our city. They're providing a safe environment for people to socialize responsibly and respectably. They are contributing to the vibrancy and the economic revenue of Washington, D.C. And I think the extension of that is just to expand into an indoor, all year round operation that will provide not only people in the neighborhood, but people throughout the city with an opportunity to socialize and have a good experience in terms of eating and drinking some of the finest beers in the world. But I do want to say that I think that the times that I've been to Dacha, they have a crowd control person at the front. They have instituted a sound wall, and I think they're committed to doing a lot more and moving a lot of people inside. I think we have to strike a balance in this city between where we're moving forward and where we're just stagnating. And I think Dacha is moving this city forward on all levels. And I think they're willing to give back to the community. They were involved in DC Pride Festival and gave to the DC LGBT Center as well.
Okay, you have about 2 seconds. You want to dance?
No, don't dance.
Okay.
But,
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Thank you for your comments. Next.
Hi, good evening. My name is Maggie Kojal. I'm at
Would you spell your last name, please?
Koziol.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And your address?
1615 Marion Street, Northwest. A couple of things. First, I want to say that I actually started out a little skeptical about the application. I had an email about signing a petition. I thought this was kind of funny. There's a lot of people there. What are they trying to pull? But the thing is, they're not trying to pull anything. They have been very honest about their needs. Ilya and Dima are good stewards and have been unbelievably incredible about reaching out to community members, having community meetings, talking to folks, and telling us about why this matters to them. More so than any other business I have interacted with, most certainly in Shaw since I've moved here. I think there is a matter of safety, certainly, and I do think that there are many other businesses in the community, but we're talking about Dacha today. And so I would ask Kevin, because you're my single member, to vote yes for this. I think this is a great business for our neighborhood. I think a vote no with the amount of people you have here, and I know this is usually an empty meeting because, I mean, come on, guys. This should signal something to you.
I take offense to that.
I mean, we appreciate all the work you guys do, but the people here in this room, the majority of them are in support of this. I know you've gotten emails and petitions, and if I could, I'd sign that change.org now. So, Kevin, you hear my vote.
Thank you very much.
Felipe Morgan, I live 1610 8th Street Northwest. I was at the first meeting when Dasha first came in, and my concern is the parking. I don't drive my car anymore after a certain time because I won't have parking when I come home. My other concern was coming from 7th Street, you can't walk on that side of the street. When it's a long line, they have the bikes out there, and Saturday I almost was run over by a moped. Some guy flew through there and he parked, and those are my concerns of having more and more people there. And it was, when they have big games, you can hear it, and I'm on 1610 on the other side. I know people get excited, but my concern is the safety. How can you get through there, and I gotta go on the other side of the street, and they say they have crowd, patrol, but they're not gonna stand out there the whole time. And I don't like walking on the other side of the street because the long line and the bikes and my parking. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comment. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Katie Peters. I live at 1609 8th Street. I'm married to Brian. We've lived in our house since 2008, and I agree there's been a remarkable change in the neighborhood. It's change that was happening prior to Dasha moving in, and I think would be happening regardless of their presence in the neighborhood. This is a neighborhood where we had both our children. We hope to raise them here indefinitely, and my biggest reason for being here today is to ensure that we can maintain a neighborhood that is not a party atmosphere. It's a neighborhood that's safe for our kids. We support smart growth. We are very supportive and happy to see how much growth has come to the neighborhood, but smart growth requires balance. And right now what we're seeing is not a balanced situation. It is one where one establishment is causing a significant amount of noise, crowding on the sidewalk, all the things you've heard from other residents. As far as the noise goes, I can only say I'm not a sound technician, but more people will mean more noise. And we can't know what that will be until it happens, and I hope not to have to find out. As Brian said, our kids' rooms are in the back of the house. The consistency of the noise is, you don't notice it until there's a big roar or a keg drops or something that wakes up one of your children. I also find it strange that we don't have a rendering of what you're being asked to approve today. It seems odd to be asked to approve something when you don't know what it looks like or even how many more people will be outside. I urge the ANC to oppose the petition to expand. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for your comment.
So my name is John Harmon. I live at 1613 Marion Street, and since we all say how long we've been here, I've been here since '91. And it's been exciting to see the change that's happened here. Before, to go to a restaurant, to go to a bar, you had to get in the car and drive to Chinatown, or you had to drive to DuPont Circle. At that time, even Logan Circle wasn't a place you wanted to go to. And so and I have to say, when they announced that a beer garden would open up in the parking lot next to the Chinese restaurant, I was like, you're kidding me. There's no way. I was a little leery because I thought, who are these fly-by-night people who are just going to throw a couple cakes down and be done with it? But I'm hugely, hugely, hugely impressed. I don't go to Dacha very much. I'm not much of a drinker, but the few times that I have gone, it's usually on a afternoon when it's a bit quieter. And Dimitri, in particular, has been very proactive. He's gone around, found out that I lived in the neighborhood, and he has, and every single time, he's talked about the soundproofing activities that they've already taken or they're getting ready to do. And I haven't asked for them. This is him being proactive about explaining the things that he's trying to do to make his establishment quieter. I live at the lower part of 1600 block of Marion Street. I'm not bothered by the noise. Has our parking gotten a little tighter? I'm actually a little surprised because I thought when all those apartment buildings came up, I would lose our parking. But it's gotten a little tighter, but I don't blame Dacha, I blame the apartment buildings. So, I welcome the development. I used to live on 17th Street, running out of time. I used to live on 17th Street. There were big fights all the time between development and not development. I swear you go to 17th Street now, it's kind of dead. I don't want that to happen here. So I want the development to continue, and I'm pro Dacha.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Hi, my name is Nick Roberts. I live at 1603 8th Street. I come here, basically voice my concern. I'm right behind Dacha. A lot of you are a few blocks away and say how much fun it is. It is fun because I go. I like it, but that doesn't mean I approve of this plan. Actually, when they first came to us, I was skeptical as well, as the last speaker spoke of. I didn't know if I wanted a beer garden in my backyard, essentially. But we came to compromises, a lot of talking, and I personally voted for them to go forward and actually establish themselves. So I think it's a misnomer to think people and direct residents that are opposing this actual motion oppose Dacha. We don't oppose Dacha, we just oppose what they're actually proposing today before you. Personally, I think there's a lot more compromise that needs to be reached. There's unspecified sound dampening or whatever that they had this engineer. It's not in the compromise. There's nothing agreeing to it. Where they agreed originally to it, they agreed originally to have a building in the back. They also, back in 2013, they agreed to have security cameras in 2013. They agreed to have sound barrier, which is the wall, which you all allude to. It is nice now, and it does help. It is nice that they did it in 2015 versus 2013. It's also only 8 feet tall, where it should be 13 feet tall, where it expands, and there is no soundproofing in that location. So every time a keg falls right where they store it, I nicely woken up in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. to kegs falling. What I think today is more compromise needs to be reached. What we have today is not compromise. Personally, I would even like if you had your previous rendering. That was a great rendering. I thought that was the co-working with our community and actually having a building to the rear, which would help block a lot of that noise, keep it on a 7th Street commercial side. I don't think what we have today would fairly treat the residents. There is no compromise towards noise. There is no specified occupancy towards where people can sit and stand and be inside, be outside. And my concern at the end of the day is, with the 9 violations, will they even follow it?
You have
And that's my concern.
about 10 seconds.
And I just, again, say I vote oppose this today and think we should readdress it and come back and support Dacha with a new plan.
Thank you very much for your comment. By the way, it is 8:30, the library does close at 9, so we will only have about 15 more minutes, so please condense your comments so that we can try and get everybody in the next 15 minutes. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chuck Fiorentino. I live at 1611 Marion Street. My husband and I have lived there on Marion Street for over 30 years. I consider Dacia to be one of the best additions to the Shaw neighborhood since our moving here. I sincerely implore Kevin Chappell, our representative, to vote in favor of Dacia's request. I know for a fact that the owners work diligently with other business owners and residents of this neighborhood to improve life in Shaw. They constantly work on sound mitigation and neighborhood improvements and both care very much for the neighborhood. The changes and improvements that Dimitri and Ilya want to make would yet another way of building community business while at the same time addressing any issue of noise and congestion. Shaw has become a well-known neighborhood, and it would be sad to do anything that would discourage growth. And I, like Steve, have been held up multiple times over the last 30 years, and I think that Dacia is very much part of the growth. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Sir,
My name is Jim McMahon, MCMAHON.
thank you.
439 Warner Street, Northwest Washington, D.C., block and a half away from Dacia. I've been going there since it opened. Just to be clear from the go, I am in total support of the plan for Dacia. We heard a lot about what they've done for the community, and all that is very, very true. Safety, community, cleanliness, etc. What I really like about Dacia is what it serves for me during the summertime. It is a place where I congregate with my closest friends. I've made some great friendships with the people there that work there, the people that go to the place. And I think if you don't approve that plan, you basically take away that from the community during the winter months. So we all go into, oh Jesus, sorry about your camera.
I'll fix it.
You fix it? Okay.
I'll fix it. Let it
Sure?
go. Yeah, I got it.
Anyways, so yeah, Dacia is critical to the community for a lot of reasons. Number one, it is exactly that. It's a melting pot. It's this third space for everybody who lives in the neighborhood. It's always welcoming, and I think it'd be a mistake to take that away from the community in the winter months if you don't approve the extra building.
Hello, my name is David Avensur. I live in 1605 7th Street, it's the Lafayette building. I'm literally in front of Dacia and Uptown. I bought this apartment probably 1 year ago, and one of the reasons why I bought it is because there was a lively place in front, which was Dacia. I used to live in 14th Street in Rhode Island, and walking on the way there, it was an empty space, and suddenly you have this oasis of polite people and something where you can hang out. I totally support the expansion to the next building. When I moved there, I think it was a Chinese food restaurant. It was a terrible place, and it will definitely improve the neighborhood. Now, my window is literally in between Dacia and Uptown, and I can tell you, at midnight, the noise doesn't come from Dacia. It comes from Uptown. The bass of Uptown is extremely loud, and that's the place. I mean, if you guys decide to talk one day about closing that place, I will be the first one voting here.
Hi, my name is John Sacco. I live at 625 Q Street.
I'm sorry, would you spell your last name?
Sacco.
Thank you.
And I moved to Shaw in 1998. I moved there when I thought it was safe because the last crack house closed. And so I've been there and I've seen the neighborhood change quite a bit. And I too was skeptical when they heard that there was a beer garden going there, and I wasn't very happy with it. And I met the folks that were building Dacia, got to see their involvement with the community, and that's why I support their efforts. Most of my time in Shaw, I remember it was time when I used to escort the residents from the Asbury dwellings to the Giant because they were afraid to walk by that corner. They would not walk by the alley, and to where it is today. I really appreciate their involvement with the community. I don't drink. I've never given these folks a nickel of my money, so sorry. It's but I support them because of their involvement and their interaction and keeping me involved with what they're doing. Thanks.
Thank you so very much.
Hi, my name's Lauren Byer. I live at 1543 8th Street, so the corner of 8th and Q. My living room and bedroom windows look out onto Dacha on the side where they don't have the sound protection. I just wanted to start by saying, we talked about the negotiation agreement that Dacha concluded with both our neighborhood association and then the ANC several years ago, and we were part of that discussion and negotiation. And my husband actually went in front of the ANC in support of Dacha's original application. But the one question or the one concern that he voiced at the time was, how do we know that they're going to stick to this settlement agreement, that we do support? And the commissioners at the time, and I believe it was you, Rochelle, said, "We are your recourse. The ANC is your recourse." And so I'm coming here to you tonight to say, please be our recourse. We support Dacha's current capacity load. I support their indoor expansion. What I don't support is any additional increase to the external capacity. The noise level, as others have said that live immediately adjacent to Dacha, is untenable right now. On the days, I should clarify, it's untenable on the days where they are at several hundred people over their capacity. And that is basically every Thursday through Sunday that has decent weather, that doesn't have thunderstorms. We already sleep with white noise, and I'm thankful my 9-month-old actually sleeps on the other side of the house so that he's not waking up necessarily, but we are.
You have 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah. So all I'm asking for is a little bit of balance here, as others have said. We support Dacha as a successful business in the community, but there has to be balance with the residents who live right next door. And those of you who do live nearby and support it, great, but you're not impacted by the noise in the way that the immediately adjacent noise are. And that's easy to say for you.
Thank you for your comments.
My name is Journey Williams. I live at 1612 5th Street in Kevin's area as well.
Boy, you're getting hit tonight.
And we've been here since 2008. Love the neighborhood. I'm at Dacha many times a week, not necessarily even drinking. I end up going there. I work from home. And when I need a change of scenery, I go and I work from there. And whether I'm buying a drink or not, at the time, they support me being there, and I appreciate that. I love what it's done for the neighborhood. When I used to avoid walking by there when I went to Giant, I would take P Street every single time because I didn't want to go on O and I didn't want to go on Q, even though I live at the corner of 5th and Q. And I just feel that it's improved the neighborhood a great deal. My wife is the president of Bundy Dog Park. She couldn't make it here tonight, but there was a time they needed to have a meeting. We were able to call the night before, and they donated meeting space for us. And I appreciate that type of involvement in the community. That's it.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry to say that I'm going to ask the last three speakers to limit yourself to a minute. I know that sounds terrible, but we're out of time, and we've really been trying to give everyone a shot.
I'm Rex, and I'm a millennial, and we've heard a lot from millennials tonight, and
like most millennials, I think my opinion is important because we're the future and the largest generation now. So we were welcome to the neighborhood. Dacha was built or opened a couple of months after I moved here in 2012 from Logan Circle, and it's been very welcoming and very nice to be able to go there, have dinner, take your dog, see your friends. I do think that it's very busy on the weekends. I don't necessarily go there on the weekends because I don't like to deal with crowds. But I think there's a few things that I would like to bring up possible solutions to. There's maybe improvements in windows and soundproofing of houses that might not be responsible to the residents, but they could talk to Dacha about what could be covered possibly as a bargaining chip. I think that it's been very nice to have that Chinese place closed. It was sort of gross. It looked gross. I think putting something in there with high capacity is great for the neighborhood. It's only been going on until midnight, but it makes it a lot safer until midnight to be there. I used to love 14th Street. It was very dangerous to walk on 14th Street. Now it's busy because there's large places, and so the safety is quite nice.
That's about 10 seconds, please.
Okay. And lastly, I guess the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. They've been making a good faith and effort to make changes as they can. I think they've had some difficulties with historic boards, and we finally got bathrooms there and not porta potties. So I think that they are doing as much as they can and will do as much as they can in the future to make everybody happy because they want to be in the neighborhood and we want them to be here.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Melanie McIntosh. My address is 706 Rhode Island Avenue Northwest. I can see the beer garden from my backyard, my kitchen, and my children's bedroom. I live in the beer garden. I drink beer. I enjoy the beer garden. Like many neighbors who oppose the expansion, I want to reiterate, I support Dacha. I support the current situation. Anything is better than an empty parking lot for Chinese takeout cars. And also the Chinese restaurant being removed was a great addition to the neighborhood. I think our biggest concern is increased in occupancy and also trust. They've already violated their occupancy, so the question remains, give them 500, they'll be up to 700 and we'll be here again. So I think trust and also these numbers, 600 people have to go somewhere at the end of the night. So if they go down the alley, I hear everybody that goes down the alley. They can't ask their clients not to go down the alley, it's public space. Everybody has the right. But all these people are, majority, a lot of them take parking spaces, but again, I would say maybe even the majority take the metro. So we've seen all that foot traffic coming our way. So I would like to encourage you to oppose the expansion and occupancy. Thank you.
I'm Matt Boyer.